What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shuggy from Shook Earth Media, and today we're back with The Last of Us Episode 2, and I'm very excited to be reviewing this episode with you guys because this episode proves exactly why I was excited for the show. Of course, I'm a fan of the original game. I love the original game, but I'm a zombie fan in general. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. You guys know that if you follow this channel, and I've been waiting for a huge budget zombie show like this show that is as immersive as this. Is this the best zombie looking show of all time? No question about it. Best looking zombie movie of all time? I think so. I can't think of anything that looks better than this. Incredible effects, and of course this is the clicker episode. We get to see clickers in this episode and they absolutely nail it. And I couldn't be more excited. We got some really great story moments in this. It's a really great adaptation, and I'm looking forward to breaking down this episode with you guys. But if you like The Last of Us or zombie shows in general, definitely keep it locked on Shook Earth Media. Hit the sub button. I hope to hear your opinions down below. And like button definitely helps with the algorithm as well. So I appreciate everybody showing support. And with that, let's just start breaking into the episode. So we start off the episode with yet another vignette. We kind of had one last week. With a scientist guy in a talk show talking about fungal infections and how he's scared of that in the future. And I was kind of mixed on it. You know, I liked the scene and it worked on paper and it was interesting. A lot of people that didn't play the game, The Last of Us, really loved that scene. I think they really needed that authenticity to get the science to feel real, to buy into the concept. I personally didn't need that. I would have rather led with the horror aspect, the zombies. I would have rather led with something like that. But ultimately, I like that scene. Here we got another vignette, and I honestly like the last one better. This one, we got a lady in Indonesia. You know, it's an interesting setting because we're broadening our scope. We are in Asia now, so I like that aspect of it, and it's cool. But we got this lady. She was having lunch somewhere, and it turns out she's a professor who studies, I forget what the word is, but she studies fungus and stuff like that. And they are bringing her in, of course, you know, nobody knows about it yet. She's learning about the infection. So this scene, you know, the suspense is there, and I like the atmosphere. Okay, I accidentally showed a no-no part, so we can't show the next scene because there's nudity in it. But there's a dead body, and she investigates the infection. And then the general comes in and says, we need a vaccine, we need medicine. She says there is no medicine, there is no vaccine. And I like the mood that it sets, you know, and I like the atmosphere of the scene and just getting a little bit more insight into why they dropped the bombs, because she recommends dropping bombs because she sees that there's no stopping this. So, you know, and I like that aspect of it. And we bring that back later. We get to see a crater where a bomb fell. But my gut instinct is we didn't need this scene. This scene takes too long. It's like 8 minutes. It's that's like a sixth of the episode is this scene, and it's just too drawn out. It's information we already had, and while it's cool to be outside the U.S., you know, I think we're getting a little too distracted with these sci-fi elements. The sci-fi element is not at all the leading factor in this show. It's the survival aspect that is the most important. It is the horror aspect that is the most important. So you see how much of the episode has gone by on this scene. So I could have done without that scene. So that's just me. But here we are with Ellie, and these are scenes that are not in the game, I don't think, but it's dealing with learning about her infection and how she was bitten and all of that. And there's a bit of a tension there. Joel wants to go back. Tess wants to go forward. To me, this scene was good, and I like the tone, but it did kind of feel like going in circles because they had the same argument kind of multiple times. So that was just one thing that I would say the scene dragged on a little long, but we're starting to get that production value, man. It's all about production value, bro. I mean, look at the shot. Look at all this fungus and stuff. I mean, oh, the show looks so good, man. I can't wait. Okay, so we start to bring a little bit of the humor in with Ellie. And I wasn't quite sold on Ellie last week. Her performance was a little one note. This week is better, although I'm not quite sold on her yet. But there is a bit more dimension to her performance here. And we get a bit more in depth. This episode's actually directed by the game director of the original game, Neil Druckmann. So I thought that was interesting. You know, he made the transition pretty seamlessly, I must say. So this is where I'm like, oh, this is where you boys freaking out over the visual effects because I love it, and that's the creator we're talking about. And this is like, yeah, this is why I'm here. This is why I was excited for this show. This is why I love it. As much as I love the original story's still there. I can go back and play the game. That to me is the original story. That's what I love. But it's seeing it in live action on screen, and it looks real. Everything looks real. The effects are amazing. Some of the best CGI effects I've seen in a while. Very convincing. Look at how much work they put into dressing this scene and putting all these vines on the cars. I mean, and the cars are even period authentic to like 2000. So I love this, man. And the skyscrapers in the background, and it's amazing. And we're setting the scene here. We're spending time with the characters. And it's a bit slow, but I think that's a good thing, actually. Maybe some people will disagree with that, but I think it's good to spend this time with the characters, have some quiet time here. We're learning that the cities aren't as overrun as the people inside are led to believe, so we get a little bit more information about the quarantine zone and what the people are told there. And we get to hear Ellie's, she basically summarizes some stories of infected that she heard. And basically, she describes two types of infected. The second one is the clickers. It's the split heads who can see in the dark. So I like that aspect because it again just shows the game of telephone rumors, where people inside the quarantine zone don't get to see what the infected are really like. So, of course, these two things she describes are kind of real. The super infected that throw spores, they exist in the game. I don't know if they're going to exist in this one. But the second thing that she says with the split heads who can see in the dark, I like that because it's an accurate description of the clickers. However, it leaves out crucial information. The fact that they could see in the dark, but that's because they can't actually see. They're actually blind, and they see using echolocation. So I thought that was a really nice touch. And here we got, look at these sets, dude. Oh my God, it looks so good. It looks so good. And here we learn Ellie can't swim, of course. And then here is a very crucial part of the episode, I think, where we start to see Ellie's sense of humor coming out. And she's talking, having a fake conversation with somebody behind the desk, imagining the hotel. She's saying that she has some knowledge of the world before because she's read a lot of books. So I think this scene is so crucial. And it really is important to break Ellie's shell to a degree and start to show her real personality. So I think that that's important. I thought it was good. It could have been a little bit better. I don't know. It just felt a little awkward, a little forced, but I think it was great in general. So here we got a scene where Tess has to be boosted up, and then she unlocks the door. This is something that happens in the game a lot. So I think it's kind of a shout out to us gamers. And of course, Ellie is the first one to say, I will go through, because she's the one who does it in the game a lot. So I like this awkward tension between her and Joel, just not really connecting. And she asks him a bunch of personal questions. He's not having it. He doesn't want to say whether or not he and Tess are a couple. He doesn't want to say where he's from. He's not really comfortable with any of that. And I like this scene here. There's some humor back and forth, but I think it's important to break the ice between these two. So that having this awkward silence, I think it was such a crucial scene. And here we go. We get to see some new information about the zombies and infected. This is completely new as far as I know, not from the games at all. And I love it, actually. This is a new detail I think is fantastic. So we get a wide shot of a lot of zombies rolling around, and they seem to be coordinated in their movements. Like there's like a wave practically, like on this side over here, zombies started to turn over, and then all of a sudden it was like a wave, like a crowd wave. So they're connected in the way that fungus can communicate. And they describe that there's these things called mycelium, that if you step on them, they can go for miles. This is 100% real as far as fungus goes. And I like bringing in the reality of fungi into the show. And the fact that the zombies are able to communicate that way. And basically, they have a homing system where if you step on a mycelium, they might hear it miles away and come running. So it's an explanation for why zombies always just show up out of nowhere. an explanation other than just noise in general. So I think it's a great touch. I think it's really cool. The only thing with this scene, it's a little nitpick, is I think it was a little bit confusing to see what was going on. Like, I still don't know really if I understand why they're all lying down instead of standing up. I'm not sure I really understand that. Maybe it was like they were starting to feed and then they just all stayed there. I don't really get it. Maybe we'll get a close-up. Really would have gone a long way here. I don't know if they avoided it for an artistic reason. They wanted us to stay back with their point of view. But, and also on streaming, it's just kind of hard to make out what exactly is going on. I would have liked a close-up here. I'm not really sure, again, why they're laying down on the ground. But I don't know. If anybody has any theories, explanations, I would love to hear it. And here we got the scene that I've been waiting for all episode because I knew this was the clicker episode. We get in this museum, and again, like, look at this fungus on the outside, the set extension, and like the backdrop. It all looks so real to me. I mean, it's just so incredible, man. I think they really outdid themselves with the design of the fungus and everything. So, I mean, here we get another guy who's like grown in to the fungus here. There's a dead body and it's grown all. I mean, it just looks so good. It just looks so good. I don't even need to go into detail about it. It just looks amazing. It looks like $10 million was spent on this episode, which I heard is the budget. I heard $10 million an episode. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I remember hearing. But I like that we get to tease the clicker before we see him. We see this guy. We see these injuries. We're like, wow, this is bad. And then we get this long... We know we have to stay quiet. We don't know why. If you haven't played the games, you don't know why. But we got to stay quiet. And then they're going up the stairs super quiet. And then we get to see a really nice suspenseful scene with the clickers. I think that they did a really great job with this. You know, having the floors creak, having the ceiling start to cave in. Just that uneasiness settling in, I think, was really, really well done. And I think that this scene was pretty much flawless. I couldn't imagine really a better version of this scene. So I love, you know, we're looking through glass with, you know, we got weapons from the past. I like the connection, the museum, the fact that we're connecting with the past is cool. But also what's cool is the fact that there's glass there, so you can have them behind cover, but still see the thing behind them. And it makes it feel very suspenseful. And the only thing, very minor nitpick, is in this first part here, I wasn't feeling the fear in Ellie's performance as much as I should. However, later in this scene, she brings it. So, yeah, so it's again, it's a little mixed. I'm still not sold. Here we are sprinting away from the clickers. The sound of them, the sound they make, the movements of the actor, it's just, it's flawlessly pulled off, man. I absolutely loved it. So this scene, the only thing that kind of bugged me with this scene is, you know, of course they're running and Tess trips and falls. Now they did that as a misdirection, of course, because they don't want you to realize that she got bit or anything. So I think it's a misdirection, if I had to guess why they decided to do that. But I don't know that it was necessary. But I did like how Joel used something to break the glass to distract. These are things we can do on a show we can't do in the game. Because in the game we had specific items that we throw as distractions. But now we can just use the environment. And I think that's great. And here's an amazing part of the scene I really, really, really appreciated. Was him reloading the gun quietly as he could. This is something that, again, you can't depict in the game. So taking advantage of the medium that we're in to get that extra suspense, closing the camera in on him so you lose track of where he's at, and then the guy's right next to him. Oh, so good. And then we're with Ellie, and then we catch up with Tess and we kill them. We see how many bullets it takes to bring them down, how much of a threat these guys are. I think that scene, standout scene of the episode, flawless. I other than those minor nitpicks I said, it's pretty much good. So here we got, you know, some kind of uneasy tension with Joel and Tess. Now I think they might have. It's hard for me to tell because obviously I knew Tess was bit immediately because I played the game and all that. However, I think they might have telegraphed it a little too much. It might be a little bit too obvious to the point that it's not surprising later. Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't need to be surprising. But it's just something I thought about. I was like, you know, I think if this is my first time experiencing this, I would know. And here's some dialogue from the games where they're like, talking about the view. It's like, is that everything you'd hope to be? And then she says, you can't deny the view. And I love that. So here, dude, look at this, dude. It freaks me out every time we get a wide shot. I freak out. So here, I don't think they did the best job with this scene. We're coming up on where we were supposed to meet the Fireflies. I almost wish that we knew a little bit, like there was some kind of landmark we were looking for that we can recognize. Oh, okay, that's where they said they were going to meet the Fireflies. It took me a second to catch up. Like, why is he looking in this truck? What's the big deal with the truck? Maybe I missed a line of dialogue, but it would have been good, I think, to have, okay, we're going to meet at this place and have a statue that's recognizable or something like that. But again, that's a minor nitpick at the end of the day. Here we are in the place we were supposed to meet the Fireflies, and they're all dead. And one of them was infected, or some of them were infected, and everybody ended up dying. And they're looking for a map. They're looking for something that might help. And it turns out that Tess got bits. And this scene pretty much plays out exactly how it did. Now, one small detail that they had is, they obviously had the tension about is Ellie's infection real. They had her get bit again in the scene with the clicker to really reinforce that. I'm not sure that was necessary. It seems unnecessary to me. It really just kind of feels like hitting you over the head with what should be obvious. So I don't think they needed to have her get bit again. I don't think that it detracts from it though. So it doesn't take anything away from it. And that side by side of her injury versus Tess's injury, they happen at the same time. It makes it a little bit more obvious. Again, I think that's like overthinking it, overthinking it on the writer's standpoint, but it's not really an issue. It's fine. But the emotions of the scene, I think, were played perfectly. The dialogue was slightly different from the game, but the emotions were the same. Tess' performance was great. And I like the ambiguity about their relationship, and it makes it all the more tragic that Joel doesn't say "I love you" back, or anything like that. He just leaves and leaves her behind. It's a very tragic, heartbreaking thing. This scene right here, right now, right after this part with this emotional break, we get a cutaway. A zombie wakes up. It felt like souring the mood. Like, I don't think we needed to be pulled out of that as quickly as we did, because we're having this emotional moment, and then all of a sudden we got to shoot a zombie. But the new concept from earlier comes in, and the mycelium wakes up the horde of zombies we saw earlier. So now we get to see the close-up that I wanted to see earlier. We get to see it now as the zombies are running their way. So I love that element. I'm curious to see what they do with it going forward. Part of me thinks that it's not really going to affect very much, but it is a cool concept, and bringing in the reality, the fungus and everything. So yeah, tragic, heartbreaking scene, and I actually really love this this little punctuation they have on it. She's trying to flick the lighter because she covered the place in gas. She put grenades about, and she's going to, because she's bit, she knows she's dying. She's going to sacrifice herself to make sure that Joel and Ellie can get away. And, of course, that sends Joel on his journey. He wasn't on board with it before. Now he has to do it because Tess, he actually did love her, whether he wanted to admit it or not. But I thought it was really great. We have that uneasy moment where, you think you're looking at the two of them together and you're like, is Joel going to kiss her? Of course, I know that he's not because I played the game and whatnot. But you have that moment subverted and perverted here because we have the zombie basically spreading to her by basically kissing her. So I thought that was a really clever, really, really clever thing. And I'm still not sold on the fungus coming out of the mouth thing. That wasn't in the game. It still looks like angel pasta sticking out their mouth to me. It's a little silly. But this scene right here, I think, made it almost worth it. I actually ended up liking it. So maybe they've convinced me. We'll see. Maybe I'll complain about it some more, the angel hair pasta, etc. But and you get to see that final moment of her of kind of dealing with the trauma of what's going on, and we get the great backdrop And that's pretty much the episode. So I'm really happy with this one. I think this was a great episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But I'm really liking where we're going. We're off to Bill next week. And Bill's part of the game was one of my favorite parts. So I'm really, really excited to see what they do with that storyline. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, it's been your boy Shuggy. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.